This is part 16 where we're building a Shiny web application, and we left off here where we connected to the Mongo database, and we have here the value cards and the visualizations that are on the main page. And what I want to do in this video is I want to store some user data in the database, so whenever a user removes visualizations on the main page, it's getting stored in the database, and then whenever the user comes back to the app, only the visualizations are shown that they chose. So in order to do that, we're going to run all the MongoDB functions that we've created last time. And the only thing that changed is I added a collection in here. This is the visualization collection. And we can connect to the database by calling the MongoDB connection function. And then we can use the user base tibble or user base collection in here where we have the user and the password. And what we can also do, we can say connection, and then we can use the visualizations collection and then read it into R. And here we have the user, then we have the main page column and the sidebar column. So the main page column is also a list column which contains a tibble with the different names of the visualizations and the corresponding IDs. And similarly, the sidebar also has the names and the IDs. So what I can do now is I can go from a data frame to a tibble, and then we have the character vector, the user, and then the list column, main page, and sidebar. And what's happening is that in the main visualization module, these four visualizations, page views, device category, bounce rate, and most popular posts, they're being shown every time someone logs into the application. But what we want to do now is we want to grab the visualizations collection, and then from there we're going to read in what visualizations were on the main page, which visualizations the user selected, and which were in the sidebar. So we can call this tibble from the database viz, and then what we can do is we can subset or filter the data by the user depending who logs in. So what we get back is here the third column of the tibble. And what we can do now is we can grab the main page column and then from there what we can do, we can grab the visualizations column as well. And then we'll make this a vector instead of a list. And then these are the visualizations that the user left with when they exited the app: page views, device category, session duration, and channel groupings. So I can call this header DB, for example. And then we can do the same thing with the IDs. Just instead of the visualization column, we're going to grab the IDs column. So that's going to look like this. So what we can do is we can copy that and then go into the main visualization module. And then in here we already have the header, we have the IDs. So I can substitute this hard-coded vector with the header DB vector that we get from the database, and I can also get the IDs in here. So now the only thing I have to get are the data frames, and for that we have a named vector here, the visualizations vector, where we have all the visualizations that can be produced, and then I named them with the data frames or with the data sets. So most of them are using the Google Analytics data, except for the visitor map, which uses the Search Console API data. So what we can do in the module here is we can say what visualizations are we getting from the database. So we get a logical vector, true and false, and how we can subset that vector is with the square brackets. And what we get are page views, session duration, channel groupings, and device categories. So the same visualizations that we get from the database. The only difference is that they're not in order. So we have page views, session duration, and from the database we have page views and device categories. So what we need to do is, I'm just going to call this, just going to give it a letter X. And then what we need to do is we need to reorder the X vector in the same order of the header DB vector. And how we can do that is we can say order, and then in here we can say match, and then we have to match X with the header DB vector, and what we get back is now the order of how the X vector should be. So what we can do next is we can use these square brackets again, and now we have this is going to be the same order: page views, device category, session duration, and then channel groupings. So the same order as the header DB vector. And that's going to be important because otherwise the data frames don't match up with the corresponding names of the visualization. So for this example it would be fine, but if we would have had visitor map in there, then we have to reorder it. So in here what I can say, I can call this df db. And now we can look at it again, that it's in the right order, and the only thing we have to do in here, we have to get the names of the vector. So these are all visualizations from the Google Analytics data, so we put that in here. Now we can save this, and the user, it's always going to be different depending who has logged in. So what I'll do, I'll say user, and this user is going to be reactive, and I also have to put it here as a function argument. And we'll get this user from the Shiny Author package. So in here we're getting the credentials if it's true or false with $user auth, and then there's also some different information that we're getting back. So we'll say shiny reactive, then we'll use the credentials, and then for these credentials we're going to say info, $info, and then we're going to grab the user from there. And if someone has successfully logged in, we're going to get back the user from the user base table here. So we're going to get back user 1, user 2, or user 3. So what I'm also going to do, I'm going to put this as a function argument as well, because we're using that in the module as well in here. So this observer gets run whenever someone starts the app, and then whenever we are going to insert a visualization, so if we click the sidebar and we click on an action link, this observer gets triggered. So if someone clicks the action link, this observer gets triggered and inputs a new visualization on the page with the insert UI function here. So what we have to do in here is we have to basically, whenever someone adds a visualization, we have to add the header and the ID to the Mongo database. So we have to write it to the database, and then for the sidebar, we have to remove the action link from the database. And for that, I already wrote what we have to do in here, because it's a little bit complicated, or not complicated, but yeah, I often forget these curly brackets, especially with the string underscore glue function. So I'm just going to copy paste that in here, and what we're doing is we're grabbing the visualizations connection, and then instead of $find, what we'll do is we'll use update, and then in here we'll find the row that we need to update, and in this case it's going to be the third one, or we did that previously with the third one, but depending on the query, I guess it's going to be connection. So depending on the query here, it grabs the row, and then from there we're going to use push to add the visualization header and also the ID, and then we're going to use pull to delete the ID and also the name of the visualization. So if we're adding a visualization in here in this observer, we're going to add it to the main page. We're going to grab the index 0, and then we're going to get the visualization column, and then what we're going to do in here, we're just inserting the name of the visualization, and we already have that in the observer. And then similarly for the IDs, what we're going to do is we're going to have the ID in the observer as well. So we'll copy paste this and then put that in here. And then we can copy this one, and then instead of adding the visualization for the main page column, I'm going to delete the visualization name for the sidebar. In here. So we're going to add it to the main page, and then because we removed the action link from the sidebar, we have to delete the header and the ID that we added. So what we have to do next is we also have to have an observer when we are deleting a visualizations on the main page. So what we're going to do is we're going to say shiny observe event, and this event gets triggered. So here, what we're doing here in the script is, so this function sends the ID that we're clicking to shiny from JavaScript to Shiny, and we're doing that here. And it's called clicked link. And then we're using the clicked link here. That's the ID that's been clicked, and we're writing that to the database here and deleting it here from the sidebar. So similarly, when we're deleting a visualization from the main page, what we're doing is we're getting the ID that has been clicked, and then what we can do here is we can say deleted plot, for example, and then we can send this to from JavaScript to Shiny as well. So here in the app.r file, we can go here in the main visualization server. And here I called this clicked link when we're adding a visualization. And then similarly, when we're deleting a visualization, I can call this deleted plot, and that's equal to this reactive input $ deleted plot. So we can go back into the main visualization and in the observer that we just created. And then here I have to use that argument up here. And then in here I'll say deleted plot. I have to use the round brackets because it's reactive. And then in here what I can do is I can copy these two and put them into this observer. And here we have to do the opposite. So whenever we're deleting a plot on the main page, we're deleting it in the main page column. And then the other way around, if we're deleting the visualization on the main page, the action link appears in the sidebar. So we're adding the ID to the sidebar and the visualization header name. So we can copy this one. This is going to be the ID. So instead of click link, it's going to be the deleted plot ID. And then also the header is not available here in the observer. But again, we have here a vector, the IDs underscore named vector. And what we can do here is we can figure out which ID corresponds to what visualization header. So what we can do is we can say IDs is equal to, for example, A. So this gives us a vector of trues and false, a logical vector, and then we can subset the ID's names vector with these square brackets, and what we get back is here the name for the A ID, which is page views. And then just going to grab the names, run this, and here we have page views. So instead of A, the letter, this is going to be deleted plot. It's going to be the ID. And then we'll save this as deleted header. And then we'll copy this, and then this is not going to be a reactive. It's going to be a variable. And then this is going to update the name in the sidebar and also in the name page. So in the sidebar it adds it, and on the main page it deletes it. So we can save that. And now there's only one more thing to do, and that's here in the sidebar module. So this currently is also hard-coded. We have the vector of IDs, and then we also have the name of the action links. And what we need to do here is, instead of using the main page column, I'm going to use the sidebar column. So in here we'll say sidebar, and here we'll also say sidebar, and then user is not found. So in here I'm going to say user, and then I'm also going to say visualization here. And then similarly to the main visualization module, I'm going to substitute this one with header underscore db, and this one with the IDs. And then I'll save this. I just have to add user and the visualizations in this sidebar. So user is going to be this one, and then visualizations is going to be the visualization collection. And this one we can also add in the main visualization module in here. So here we have user, visualization, deleted plot, and this. And in here I have to add this as well. I think it should work from here, but we'll see. So let's see if this works. So we have these 4 visualizations: page views, device categories, session duration, and channel groupings. So if we're going to remove everything except channel groupings, and then we're going to add the visitor map on the main page, then we exit the app, what we should see is these 2 visualizations should be on the page again, and everything else in the sidebar. Yeah, and that's right. So we're getting back the session duration plus the visitor map, and then the other visualizations are here in the sidebar.